Welcome to another edition of Voices of Innovation, the author series. And we're so excited because this book is coming out July 17th. So you can pre-order now. I'll drop some notes into the comment section, how you can pre-order. There's a discount from the publisher. And there's really like 3 or 4 reasons why I strongly advocate getting this book. Well, one, of course, because you got Will Conaway, as a contributor. So, that right there, you should get the book. So welcome, Will. We'll just do a quick introduction of you right here.
There we go. Thank you, Ed. I'm glad to be here. I made sure I had a book background today. And that way we can put that book in there. I think it's very important. There you go. I'm glad to be here. Just quick background on me. I'm Will Conaway. I'm the Consultant Vice President Provider Leader at NTT Data. And that's basically my oversee organizational strategy, operations, and negotiations, M&A activity, little international business is starting to pop up, and some information and ultimately consulting.
Yeah, that's awesome. You got a great background as a CIO, and you've been deep in operations and outside of healthcare too. So if people want to learn more about Will, we just dropped a podcast with Will on digital voices. So you should check that out. Will's got amazing background, full of deep wisdom and all sorts of talents, not just writing, but, on the guitar and stuff like that. So, but, Will, back to the book. So definitely you get to hear from people smart like you and organizations that you've been part of. And then the other couple of reasons is it creates a handbook. So a lot of times it's so nebulous, right? We need to do more innovation. Ed, you need to be more innovative. Ed, IT needs to be more innovative. Ed, how do we become innovative? And so you get those sort of questions and you're like scratching your head because innovation's an issue in healthcare, but it's how do you do? What do you do? So you maybe call one person and get their opinion. This book is full of 40 people's experiences. So that's what I love about the book. It's just full of deep expertise, like you'll hear from Will. And so that's what makes it a great book. So it's a framework. So it's like tells you how to do it and gives you 4 or 5 key examples. But my very favorite reason, Will, and I know it's near and dear to you as well, is none of us took any money for this. So all the profits from authorship go to Mary Crowley Cancer Research. It's a phase 1 clinical trial center based out of Dallas-Fort Worth. I'm on the board. In the past, we gave money to Cleveland Clinic Foundation, which is cool. But this year, this book is going to Mary Crowley. And it's where hope lives. So it's a really good cause. So all the money will be funneled there from an authorship point of view. And so, how can you go wrong? You make a little investment, you get a great book, you learn a framework for innovation, get great examples, hear from great people, and ultimately it helps save people's lives. So, Will, part of that framework is something called create roadmaps. You've got to have a plan, a strategy, you should have, in order to make innovation really happen. And you wrote in that chapter, can you share a little bit about, what you spoke about? You talked about big rocks, tell us a little bit more about it.
Absolutely. I think healthcare has drastically changed in the last couple of years, and not just from technology. There's other things that are going on. And technology is facing VUCA, I would call it. And it's a military term, Ed, I know you're familiar with that. And really, we're seeing volatility within healthcare, and that is how are organizations, when they conduct their strategies, what can they do to really counteract, the dynamic rate of change that we're seeing? We're seeing that from, daily, from everything from regulations, rules, and now even things like chat GPT. People are talking about that. How's that going to change healthcare? So we need to understand volatility. Also, as companies are looking at this, we need to understand the uncertainty of things, and that is the lack of predictable information. You would think with all the information that we generate that we'd be able to make perfectly informed decisions. Not so much. We still have to have parameters around what we do, and we need to be able to understand things. And then we're also seeing that healthcare has been greatly affected by complexity, and that's just how I'll just call it interdependent systems and how they all have a cause and effect upon each other. And if you were to look at that from a technology standpoint, if we're trying to add that in there, looking at innovation, you could say that 25 years ago we had people like David Smith who talked about we were going to have system of systems and we were going to have platform of platforms, and they were right. These people were right. Now it's starting to come. We're seeing this happen now. Everything's interoperability, how things fit together, how things talk, but yet we still have problems. And then there's ambiguity. that is, how do we acknowledge the challenges that we have and putting an understanding and, I would say, a reality around it. We don't do well with that. We get confused easy. So in the book, what I wrote about is we really need to bust things down into where we can define things clearly. And that's the hardest part when you're working with your strategy, because your strategy are not only the things you decide to do, they're the things that a healthcare system or people in any business would decide not to do. So how do we define? How do we get the right measurements around things? Often we go back and we just love to measure things that make us look good, but we don't measure the things that make us better. And we also need to have a historic understanding of who we are as healthcare. And we need to understand that change is slow. We need to understand the culture of healthcare. And that is often overlooked. Often, we look at M&A activity throughout healthcare, and which is, always a major item that we see, and we can continue to see that. I actually believe in Q3 of this year, we're going to see major healthcare organizations do more M&A, and that's biotech companies too, anything healthcare related. So we need to understand the culture, because culture is the killer of M&A. Also, improve. Anytime we talk about a strategy, one of the things I often miss with people is that they talk about all the things they want to do, but they never talk about what they're trying to improve. If you're talking about technology, how is technology driving the consumer experience? Something that has taken off the last couple of years in healthcare, but we've seen the consumer experience in every other industry for years. And then also, you have to have a constant state. If you can't get things into a state where things are at least under control and hopefully getting better, you don't have much of a strategy. And I'll just add one last point in there, and that is, a plan that cannot change is not much of a plan. So as you put your strategies together, don't assume that everything's going to go perfect. You're going to have to keep changing things as you go and tweak.
Yeah, Will, you're a historian, so you make sure I get this quote right. But it's often attributed to Patton, right? It's like, plans are great, but the first bullet in battle, everything changes, something like that.
Yes. Yeah. That's an old quote that goes back thousands of years that people have said something similar to that. Yeah, or Mike Tyson. Everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face.
Yeah.
Things change quickly.
Yeah, but it's good to have a plan, and then you have to be. I think your point there is just you have to be agile with it. It's like, it's a good starting point, a frame of reference, and then you just create with it, and you move and innovate with it as things happen. So,
Absolutely.
well, this has been a great teaser for people to go and get the book, because you get to hear some practical things. That's what I love about your contributions and the other contributions, is that it's not just theory, but it's theory in the practice. Like, hey, we actually do it today still, and it really makes a difference for innovation. So, Will, thank you so much for being a contributor and for your friendship along the way and your leadership in the industry.
Well, I appreciate this opportunity, Ed. It's a very important cause, and when you called me and asked me if I'd like to participate, I lost my brother to cancer, so this cause means a lot to me, and I appreciate the opportunity to be part of this.
Yeah, definitely, and certainly, I think all of us have, yourself included with your brother, heart and soul in the ink of this book. So, thank you again.
Thanks, Ed.